Well, welcome to the Forum podcast for June right here in Spain. We are rolling into the summer, which is usually a very busy time for the community fundraising work team or the community fundraising staff around, especially the Northern Hemisphere, obviously different in the Southern Hemisphere for you guys. However, one area in our part of the world that is not so flat out right now is those people working with youth fundraisers in schools and universities. It's, of course, their downtime. And so we don't have much communication or contact with them. And so it's time for us to regroup, reload, and be ready to hit them in September. And so with that in mind, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Youth Relay. And for that, one of our strong partners in the youth sector is the Canadian Cancer Society. And I wanted to invite one of my collaborators in Global Relay for Life, Leah, who has been supporting us with a lot of our training and support to partners around Youth Relay. Leah, so good to see you. How are you?
Hi, Matt. I'm good. How are you?
Really good, thanks. All good. Leah, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, your background, what you did before Relay, or has there ever been a before Relay?
That's a great question. So I've spent a lot of my career at the Canadian Cancer Society. I actually started as a summer student working while I was in university on our local Relay for Life community events. Went on to work in donor relations and then the Relay for Life youth team. And then I decided to move over to a Make-A-Wish Foundation and do a few years there. But I guess I missed Relay for Life so much. So I came back to the youth program about 6 years ago. And now I'm a manager on the Relay for Life youth team.
Fantastic. And the very successful Relay for Life youth team in Canada. You guys are absolutely flying. So tell us a little bit about the history and how that grew out of the community and into the youth program.
Sure. So the program has been running in the province of Ontario in Canada for over 20 years. About 6 years ago, we expanded to be a national program where we were able to support students running Relay for Life in their school in all of provinces and territory. And then of course, the challenge of the pandemic hit. But it's been a long-standing program. We started with 2 staff and 20 years ago, and now we're up to a team of 17 here at the Canadian Cancer Society. So we are excited to say that this past fundraising season, we've had our largest fundraising season yet. We're coming up on raising $8 million,
Wow.
Which is very exciting because our last highest year was in 2019. So we are feeling the momentum of this school year and moving out from the past few years and the struggles of that. But yeah, it's a very exciting time.
And to clarify for the partners, that's 8 million Canadian dollars out of high schools and universities. That's the audience that you're working with.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, so it's high schools. We have about 188 high schools in Canada and 37 post-secondary schools, and the combined total is $8 million this year of youth fundraisers. So I always like to make sure that everybody knows that these are young people, teenagers, young adults raising this money. So we're so proud. And there was over 50,000 participants this year in our program, which is our highest program amount of participants as well. So we're seeing a lot of excitement in the program and a lot of students wanting to get involved and bring this event to their school. So we're even more excited about the next school year.
So cool. And I'm sure that, the youth drive it. It also needs probably good staff input from the schools. But tell us a little bit about the financials. What's the kind of average relay revenue in a high school in Canada? And what's the kind of range? What are they going up to at the top end?
Oh, yes. Good question. So it is a dramatic range. I would say we have some schools raising around $5,000, which they're always very excited about. This might be their first, experience with fundraising. And so we're supporting them where they're at and with whatever their fundraising goal may be. We also have a group of private schools. That's 5 schools that come together in Toronto, and their event raises over $330,000. That is a 5-school event. And we also have our largest single school event is raising over $200,000. So certainly a range. We have about 10 to 15 schools over the $100,000 mark. So the majority of our schools are raising, I think every year our average is slightly different, but it's around $38,000 per school average.
Fantastic. And we know with Community Relay that investing in the volunteers, it's a long-term game. Maybe you're bringing people in, you're training them, you're bringing them to a location to give them training or allowing them to travel, and you're really buying them into your organization and selling the mission of the organization, and has a long-term payoff. So what does that look like in Canada? How do you invest in youth?
Sure. So we have the team is full of what we call Relay for Life youth specialists. They each have their own territory within Canada. In Ontario, they have a smaller territory because we do have more schools in there, but we also have one specialist for, say, all of BC who supports those schools in British Columbia. So their role is to support the school from the moment they reach out to the Canadian Cancer Society with interest, or the moment that we talk to them about bringing Relay to their school, until the event comes to fruition. So there's a support system. We coach, we train, we teach them about marketing and fundraising and the mission of the Canadian Cancer Society. So the idea is we train the committees so that they can train their participants to be good fundraisers and support their event in that way. So we do that through different meetings, whether it's in person at the school or virtually, depending on their location. We also have what's called a Relay U conference. So we bring in 12 people, including the teachers, to a conference where we generally will have about 20 to 30 schools in attendance at each one. We did 11 this year all across Canada during the months of February and March. So we really focus on that time of training so that the students come into the day knowing what their committee position is, what Relay for Life is, what does a survivor lap look like, what does a luminary ceremony look like. We add those elements in so that they can go out to their events and implement. And they also get a chance to talk to other schools about Relay and learning about incentives and recruitment and fundraising techniques. So when they leave there, they're ready to start their planning for their event. And then we support them through that time. And our favorite season just sort of ended, which is Relay event season. So we get to go to their events, support them, see what they've accomplished, and they're always so proud of what they were able to do. And generally they have not, I wouldn't say a low expectation, but they don't always know at the beginning that they'll be able to bring this huge event sort of to life at their school and bring all these people out. So it's they're so proud of themselves at the end of the day. But we really feel like it's important to have a support system and have someone at the Canadian Cancer Society they can reach out to and ensure that they're being trained throughout the year.
And I assume in terms of making the pitch, the idea that you can say the conferences are happening, we're going to invite your team down for a first time relay, that must be just a huge, okay, we can go with Canadian Cancer Society and do this event because we're supported so well through that. Talk to us a little bit about pitching and finding schools. Where do you find schools and how do you get them to sign up?
Sure. So during the summer months, we do program planning, and each specialist will be tasked with doing a recruitment plan for their territory. So whether that's, okay, these are the schools I need to visit in person, these are the schools I want to try to get a connection with. We plan visits. We also attend lots of leadership conferences throughout the year, so that we want to be in front of high school students as much as we possibly can, because Relay for Life Youth is a leadership opportunity. And it's important to be in that space. So we have a partnership with the Canadian Student Leadership Association. And so they run a lot of leadership conferences in different provinces. So we generally attend that through a sponsorship, and we'll have a booth, with our big Relay for Life signs and showing the excitement of the event. Sometimes we'll have a relayer with us so they can talk about their experience and help us get other high school students on board. We will also have a workshop time. So we'll do a little bit of a leadership activity and tie that into the idea of being on a committee and what the whole commitment is like, and working with others and bringing something to life and kind of creating a legacy at your school. So we try to be as many of those as we possibly can. So to get the word out about Relay for Life and the Canadian Cancer Society. We also have a social media presence, and a lot of students, we find every single year the number one way that students reach out to us or how they've heard about us is through a friend. So a friend has participated and they've had a wonderful experience at their school, and they're talking about this day and this experience, and then students and teachers will reach out to us. So we're very lucky to have that, and the excitement of people talking about the good experience at Relay will allow us to grow our program, which is wonderful.
Perfect. And going back a little bit to the leadership conferences, just to sort of put that into language for everybody to know what that is. I think it's something specific in Canada that's through the state school system, but maybe just give us a little more clarification on that.
Sure. So there's different, within Canada, there's different student leadership focused associations. So there's different ones out there, and I'm sure in other countries there will be student leadership groups or provincial leadership groups or state-run leadership groups that really focus on the leadership concept and being able to be a leader in your school, and what types of activities will be a good way to learn these types of life skills. So the conferences generally have keynote speakers and different workshops and activities that they'll plan together. And the schools, when we communicate with the schools, we'll walk in and we'll say, is there someone that works with leadership students at your school? Is there someone we can talk to about a cool leadership opportunity that we have? So generally that wording will guide us to the right teacher to speak with, and that teacher will be generally involved in these types of activities. Sometimes they don't have leadership courses at the school, and we will speak to a student council or a student government or a group of students at the school who put events together, which could be an athletic council. So there's a lot of different wording, and we sort of do our research on the school website first before communicating with the school to see, okay, what type of groupings do they have at the school that will allow us to have these types of conversations. But yeah, there's the Canadian Student Leadership Conference, the Ontario Student Leadership Conference, Alberta Student Leadership Conference. So I urge everyone to do a little bit of research to see if there are leadership groups and if there's a way to connect. So how we have done it is creating this partnership, but we do sponsor. We pay a small sponsorship fee so that our logo will be included in maybe a package that they receive, and that we have a good space in the marketplace. Another way we've got involved with conferences is teacher conferences. So if there aren't student leadership conferences, there could be, maybe summertime where teachers get together and they have a conference, and they may have a marketplace where you could set up a booth and promote, or even conferences that are geared towards, with high school, it's post-secondary. So are there expos that are promoting universities and colleges where we could kind of say, hey, we have this cool opportunity, and you pay a small fee and you'll be able to be a part of it. Or there's usually a nonprofit discount as well. But we found that getting out and talking to students in person and just having conversations about their school and their community and how they want to be involved with charity work and philanthropy, and they're generally really excited to learn more. So we find that having that in-person connection is helpful.
That's awesome. I love the idea of going to a conference and just meeting a broad range of people there. And in fact, I was chatting with the guys in Norway with Lars specifically around industry conferences, and he was talking about attending an oil and energy industry conference and being able to meet a variety of companies within that. So I think that's very interesting to explore within Relay, whether it's schools or industry groups. We could maybe find some success there. Mm-hmm. Leah, thank you so much for joining and sharing these insights. I know Relay in Canada, Youth Relay specifically, is just going from strength to strength. Give us an insight. What's it going to look like next year? What are your goals for next year?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're always looking to grow. We're working on our budgets now, and we're not sure exactly what our goal will be, but I'm sure it'll be in between the $9 and $10 million range, which we've always been very excited about getting to as a program. And just getting more and more schools. We want to have, of course, every school in Canada running Relay for Life, but our 5-year plan is 500 schools. So we're working towards that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for sharing those insights, and
anytime.
Looking forward to working with you some more on it.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thanks, Leah.
Bye.
Bye.